Happy Friday, everyone. Welcome in. Getting some final things set up for us here. Okay, good deal. All right, screen sharing is good. Hi, everyone. Welcome in. It looks like our attendee numbers have stabilized here. So welcome, welcome. We're so happy to have you all. It has been a little bit. Welcome to our All Things ECE with ELV webinar. We're so excited to have you all. If you are new here, welcome. We're so excited to have you. If you are unfamiliar with ELV, we are a 501c3 nonprofit dedicated to helping childcare providers on the admin side of things with the day-to-day tedious side of those admin needs. So let me scroll through here real quick. This is part one of the webinar that we are so appreciative of having Jen with us today. My name is Milena Miner. I'm our membership and marketing coordinator on the team. And if you are unfamiliar with kind of our main product of the Alliance Core system, here are some high-level features of the system itself. We are cloud-based, capable on desktop and mobile, as well as app-based. So we are available on App Store, Google Play, and Amazon. So regardless of the device that you are interested in using Core on, if that's iPhone, Android, or Amazon, we are compatible for all of that. And if you do not currently have a Colorado-based resource platform account, this is completely free thanks to the Daniels Fund again. So if you don't currently have this account on this platform and you are Colorado-based, be sure and log on to here and our ELV team will approve out your account free for all Colorado-based providers. And a few more back-end details here. This meeting is recorded. The post-webinar messaging will go out about an hour after this, and that's going to include the recording itself, both my slides and Jen's slides, and there was something else, some more resources from Jen as well, and you'll also receive a certificate for your 1 hour time today for your training. And I believe that is it. We will have a door prize at the end, so be sure and stick around for that. But otherwise, I know you guys are not here for me. You are here for Jen, so I will send it on over to her.
Thank you so much, and thank you, Early Learning Ventures. I am about to share my screen, and I'm making sure I'm sharing the correct screen because that's always important to start these events. We looking good, Milena?
We see your notes if you want to swap to the audience side.
Okay, let's try that again. We did rehearse this. How does it look now?
You're all set. Good to go.
All right, yay. Okay, my name is Jennifer Nguyen Garcia, and I am a coach, trainer, and substitute teacher. And I have my own LLC called Those Wonder Years LLC. So today, the title of the training is, or the webinar is Big Idea Math Concepts, Creating Engaging and Meaningful Experiences for Children ages 3 to 6. So welcome and thank you for your 1 hour today. So the discussion topics today are big ideas, math concepts for preschoolers. So what that means is what we can be and should be teaching in regards to math concepts for children ages 3, 4, 5, and 6. And then we're also going to touch on ECERS 3. There are new math items in the ECERS 3, and the item that we're going to discuss today is item 23, math materials and activities. Oops, I went too fast. Let's go back. So what is your jam? In other words, what learning materials and learning topics bring the most interactions and language with you and the children? What brings you and the children most enthusiasm, energy, and focus? When you're up late at night, maybe that's your only free time, and you're researching and planning for the week's events or your lesson planning, what types of learning topics or activities or materials are you most interested in bringing to your learning environment? I went the wrong way. All right, so reflect. Whoa, this goes too fast. Sorry, guys. Reflection. When I feel the most energized in a learning environment, it's often about math, said no one. So we all know that that isn't completely true. Some teachers and educators are extremely energized and have a math focus in their classroom. However, to the last question, what is your jam? Most educators probably answered art, literacy, social emotional learning, dress up, blocks, nature, gross motor. However, few teachers or educators will report math. So the question is why? One of my thoughts is that because there is a lack of math training for educators in early childhood, and maybe a lack of confidence and understanding about what to teach and how to teach it and what you need to teach in learning environment. And then ways to make math energized, alive, and exciting for children are some of the reasons why maybe not many educators report that math is their jam. But I'm here today to emphasize that math can be hands-on, it can be whole body, it can be fun, it can be energizing, and it's easy to learn about the basic concepts that we can be teaching in our preschool learning environments. So all children are born with ability to learn maths. And no, that's not a typo. They say maths in Britain, so apparently. In order to teach children maths, teachers must be math literate. If teachers are confident in what they're teaching, children are more likely to learn. So basically, preschool children can develop math abilities in our classrooms, in our learning environments, and we can create math people in our preschool learning environments. We want to move away from the stereotype that some kids or some people are math people and some are not. All children have the ability to learn the basic concepts of math in their learning environments. In this webinar, we're going to also focus on to make it engaging and interesting and to develop the math concepts deeply. We're going to use a variety of modalities, and we're going to focus on concepts rather than rote memorization, but on deep understanding of math concepts like number sense. All right, why math, why now? So one of the reasons is that the quality rating improvement system in Colorado is called Colorado Shines, and they use ECERS 3 to do the in-person classroom environmental rating quality. So in the ECERS 3, there are new math items that were not in the ECERS R, which is the revised version. So these new math items, there are 3, will be evaluated in starting now, January 2022. And according to my friend at Clayton Early Learning, who is the ERS state anchor, she reported that most classrooms that she's observing have been scoring very low in math, not only not having the correct and appropriate materials, but also not having enough math interactions with the children. So that is why I decided to create this webinar on math, big ideas, and how to make them engaging and fun and hands-on and whole body, and make it fun for teachers as well. Okay, we're going the wrong way again. Hold on, let me get my little Zoom bar out of the way here. Manage this a little better. Okay, so the other reason, the why math, why now? It's the responsible thing to do. It's the compassionate thing to do. We all know someone who's been held back by their perception that they're not math people. Adults and children can experience deep shame and intense frustration when it comes to their math abilities. Some people experience emotional and academic setback due to their perceived understanding that they're not math people. So we as preschool educators in our learning environments have that unique opportunity to encourage the growth mindset when it comes to math that allows all children and adults to become math people and perceive themselves as able. So I feel like, again, it's the responsible thing to do. It's the compassionate thing to do. We can set these children up for success in subsequent learning environments and in overall life skills if we support the big ideas of math. Oh my goodness. Okay, math big ideas that we're going to talk about today. So when I say big ideas, just think these are the concepts we should be teaching in our learning environments to preschool age children. And we're going to talk about rote counting, what it is, one-to-one correspondence, subitizing, and cardinal numbers. Okay, I'm going to click this very gently, and it's going to go forward. Yes, okay. So when we talk about these big math ideas, one-to-one correspondence, supertizing, cardinality, comparing quantities, what the end state is that the children in our classroom are going to understand and have a deep conceptual understanding of number sense. The ability to use numbers and understand how numbers work. Yes, children in preschool classrooms have the ability to learn this if it's intentionally taught. So if you look at the slide, you see the little train and it has a number 2. When we have that material in our classroom, it is fun, it's fine motor to put the 2 on and to pull. There's science involved. However, when we have a number 2, the child is just experiencing that shape. They're not really experiencing the deep understanding of the quantity of 2 and how that quantity of 2 relates to other numbers and quantities. But if you look at the larger circle, where it looks like a puzzle, when that child pulls that puzzle out and sees the number 8, and then sees the 8 stars, and then has to touch and count all the stars, and realizes that there are 8 stars on that side of the puzzle, and it corresponds to the number, that is learning a deeper understanding of number sense. Clicking gently again. Okay, if you see the slide and you ever watch Sesame Street, most likely you're thinking, or you're reading it like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. That is rote counting. Rote counting, simply put, is just counting and reciting numbers through memory. So as you can see, when you sing that song, you're singing a number song. However, it's not really teaching us number sense. So again, all the big math ideas we're going to talk about today, the end state is to deepen their understanding, the children's understanding of number sense. Okay, first big math idea, one-to-one correspondence. So teachers in the learning environment often are asking, how many? How many do you have? How many do you see? How many do you want? So one-to-one correspondence is simply the skill of counting one object at a time and assigning each object a number. So usually children will point and teachers will show them how to point at one object and then touch it and assign it a number, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Seems simple, but young children need a lot of practice learning one-to-one counting. And one-to-one counting is a foundational math basic skill, a big idea that will build up to adding and subtracting. And in the pictures, as you can see, there's a variety of materials you can use to promote and practice one-to-one correspondence. They're the counting bears. Many classrooms have those beautiful, colorful counting bears. In the middle, it looks like a teacher painted rocks and made simple illustrations. That can be very attractive to children. And then on the right, those balls are actually frozen and colored. So clearly that's a great opportunity to have a really fun, hands-on, science-inspired one-to-one correspondence activity. So that was our first big math idea, one-to-one correspondence. How many? So let's think. Does mastering one-to-one correspondence mean a child understands quantity? So if they're counting 1, 2, 3, do they know that they have a total of 3 items on their tray or 3 items on their worksheet? So when we say quantity, when a child sees a number, says its number name, and can find an according number of objects, the child has connected a numeral to its quantity. Again, number sense. So if you look at the picture at the top, the turtle matching game, those are numbers. However, that game doesn't give us any information about quantity. So that's really just matching numbers to numbers. So we're learning number recognition. However, if you look at the picture on the bottom, the child with the chart, he's putting the number of stickers on the numeral, the number name. So he's on 6. So his goal is to put 6 stickers on number 6. That child is getting a better, deeper understanding with hands-on learning, fine motor, even gross motor, because he has to squat and bend to do this, of 6. He is learning more deeply what 6 means as in relationship to quantity. So the answer, I would say, to the one-to-one, that is a foundation of basic math skill, but it doesn't quite teach the next step, which is the understanding of quantity. All right, anytime we're using materials in the classroom, because our children spend so many hours in our learning environment and so many days, they can become stale and they can become uninspiring, not only to the children, but to us too. So spice it up, make it meaningful and fun. You can add a sensory experience. For example, the Play-Doh on the left, you can stab birthday candles into those and pretend it's a birthday cake, and then practice one-to-one correspondence. How many candles are on the pretend cake? You can use props such as these pointer things. Kids love these things. If you pull out the pointer finger, it's very exciting and everyone wants to use it. And if you get to count something with a pointer finger rather than your own finger, to any 3 and 4-year-old, 5-year-old, that is better. I'm going to take a quick sip of water. Puppets are magical to young children. So I just call them enhancements because they do enhance any activity you're doing. Even if the puppet is just counting with the children or playing the game as the other participant, it just makes it more fun and more special. And it can create and enliven sometimes mundane math activities or math activities that might become mundane in the classroom. Okay, we went backwards again. Subitize. Everyone say that to yourself or out loud. Subitize. It's a fun word to say. Subitize is a Latin word that means suddenly. So when we're subitizing, we're able to suddenly and instantly see how many without having to one-to-one count or do any mathematical operation. So young children have the innate ability to subitize 1 and 2. There's no formal teaching of math or counting. They instantly can tell between 1 and 2. Now, when we're in the learning environment, we can practice 3, 4, and 5. So if you look at the pictures of the dots, most likely you didn't have to think, oh, how many are there? Let me see, 1, 2, and touch each dot. You just instantly knew. So the how many, there's lots of subitizing materials. There are books that promote subitizing skills. And it's really important, that adults get to hear children count, but it's as equally important that they can practice subitizing in the classroom. And I saw a video of a teacher who did it during a transition time. So she had her cards and she called each child up and said, how many dots do you see? So she was also doing a quick assessment of which children could subitize and which could not, and who might need a little bit more support and exposure to these math concepts. So again, this is another big math idea. This is what we should be teaching in the classroom or learning environment. Okay, so arrangement matters. So most preschoolers will recognize 5 dots when it's in the form of the 4 dots in the corners and the 1 dot in the middle. Now, it gets a little bit more difficult for them to recognize the 5 dots when they're lined up, like the picture on the right. So again, the point is that many children need many experiences and exposure to this basic math skill, this big idea, subitizing, and be able to instantly recognize quantity, no matter how it's arranged. Subitizing. All right, so children This is just emphasizes the last slide. But so you see on the left the number of dots. The one on the upper right was probably the easiest one to recognize 4 dots. But if you look at all the cards with the dots, there are 4. They're arranged differently. So as children master the 4 dots with the 2 sets here, where my pointer is, then you can start introducing the different arrangements and see if they can subbatize, instantly know how many in a different arrangement. And again, the end state here is having the children have a deeper understanding of number, sense, and quantity. So this is conceptual subitizing. So when we see this right now, real quick, how many dots? Most of you will say 8. You see a set of 5 and a set of 3. And quickly you came to the conclusion that there are 8 without having to count. And that's conceptual subitizing. So small quantities within the larger quantities to perceive the whole. And that's another way, another big math idea that we can practice with the children in our learning environments. So here's another set of dots. So the arrow's pointing at a set of 3 in a vertical line. There are 4 sets of 3 dots. So when there are 4 sets of 3 dots, there are 12 dots. Or maybe your eyeballs went straight to 4 horizontally. That's a set. How many sets of 4? There are 3 sets of 4. 3 sets of 4 are 12 dots, is 12 dots. That is multiplication. That is a deeper understanding of the concept of multiplication. So when I learned multiplication in 3rd grade, we just did rote. 3 times 3 is 9. 3 times 4 is 12. And Robbie Restad was the best at it, and he won stickers galore for all his ability to memorize his multiplication tables. Now that gets us to a point where we can pass tests and pass 3rd grade. However, it doesn't give us that deep, deep understanding of what multiplication is. So when we practice subitizing in our classroom and point out these sets and how these sets make up a quantity, we're really deepening that foundational understanding of the concept of multiplication. All right, again, if you showed me dots when I was in 4, I probably would have run away into the dramatic play area because dots to me might be a little boring. However, you can make it fun and spicy and more interesting. So you can subitize, have subitizing materials that are related to your theme or your interest. So it's February, so I put Valentine's Day subitizing materials. I put interest food because all children seem to be interested in food, especially at snack time when it's usually food that they bring from home. So again, you see these crackers have 3 dots. How many dots are on the crackers? Can the child instantly and suddenly recognize, or do they need to do the 1-to-1? Then you kind of know where they are with that specific big idea math skill. And then you can also relate it to routine. So this supports behavior management as well. So 2 children can play here. How many children do you see in the picture? Ask that child to subitize with them. All right, so another big math idea, cardinality. Cardinality. This is the knowledge of how many are in a set and the number name for that quantity. So here comes the idea of quantity again. So a lot of children will say, let's count the bears. 1, 2, 3, 4. However, they won't have the understanding that the last bear they touched is 4, the 4th bear, and that there are 4 bears on the tray. They will understand that every bear needs a number, and the number has a sequence, a number line, but not that they wouldn't know the card and number. So it can sound like this. You have this beautiful display, the jars, I suggest they're plastic if possible. The balls look attractive, they're colorful. It instantly makes you want to count and do some math stuff. So the children arrive in the classroom and this is your warm-up activity. How many balls are in the jar? What's your guess? Okay, you guessed 5. Why did you guess 5? And that's a little bit of prompting the thought process. How can we see if our guess is correct? So that's introducing a little problem solving. And then the children hopefully will think, oh, we can take them out and count them. We can count and use our one-to-one correspondence skill and then talk about the final cardinal number. And we'll know that is the number, the quantity of balls in this jar. And when you see kids do this, when you practice it, even adults will do it. It will sound a little bit like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You may have noticed that my voice was rising at the end. And then the teacher or the child might say, there are 5 balls in this jar. So you'll hear their voice rise. And again, this seems like a simple math concept. However, children, again, need a lot of practice and a lot of exposure to this concept to deeply understand that when they count, the last number is the number of items they have. It's the quantity they have. And again, this is building number sense. So there are many types of materials that support teaching the concept of cardinality. So you can see the material on the left, the number 1, you have 1 finger, 1 pumpkin. 2 fingers, 2 bats. So it's teaching them the quantity. So when they count 1, 2, there are 2 bats. 1, 2, 3, there are 3, let's say they're blueberries. There's that puzzle again in the middle. So a lot of math materials have multiple purposes, where you can teach multiple big math ideas and concepts with just one material. And then on the right, that might be for an older child or a more advanced child, but you're sorting, you're graphing, and you're wondering how many green dinosaurs are there in our classroom. And that child, if we're practicing cardinality and one-to-one correspondence, should be able to touch each one. And then the last one he or she touches is a number name. And he should have a deep understanding, or she, that number name is the amount of dinosaurs on this graph or in our classroom. So that's cardinality. All right, so we're on another big math idea, comparing quantities. So most young children have another innate ability to know when there's something more or when there's less. So if you said, which plate of cookies do you want? They're going to choose the plate on the right because it probably has more cookies. And that is especially easy for them when their quantities have that varying difference. So there's a large amount of cookies on the right and there's visually a smaller amount. So they have that ability already. What comes to be a little trickier and challenging is that when the quantities are more similar or when there's larger quantities. So let's look at this slide. Those bags are marbles, and there's plain marbles and striped marbles. So we ask the child, which bag of marbles has more? We're comparing quantities, which has less. So more and less, that's math talk. So what the child is going to do is, they say, I don't know, or this one. And then you can again ask, why do you think this one? Maybe they weighed them in their hands and one is heavier and one is lighter. And that's what I'm talking about when we have a math experience where we use hands-on learning, whole body learning, apply all our senses to understanding these concepts. So then the educator can say, well, let's figure this out. How can we do this? So in the bottom picture is a 10 frame. And we're going to line up the stripes, and then we're going to line up the plain marbles. Then we ask, are there more plain marbles than striped marbles? or are there more striped marbles than plain marbles, or you can use the word less, however you want to ask the question. But what we're trying to get to is the understanding that numbers come later in the counting sequence are greater than the numbers that come before. So if you're asking a child to write down 7, there are 7 marbles next to the 7 marble line, and then 8, then they can see that 7 is less than 8. So you're deepening that understanding of comparing quantities when the quantities are either similar or there is a lot. So comparing quantities. So again, we have to make this really interesting and fun and use and introduce and practice this concept in all areas of our learning environments. Hands-on ways are very attractive to children rather than worksheets. So here's the cubes, they can stack. They have to do number recognition. And then the stack on the right only has 2, so they can clearly see and feel and know that 6 is greater than 2. And again, in kindergarten, first grade, they're going to understand that alligator is always going to eat the 6. You can gameize it, make it a game. So this is a dice, you have to roll it, you get a 5. Oh, here's an opportunity to supertize. Do they know it's a 5 instantly, or do they have to do one-to-one correspondence? And then you have to put the 5 animals in the corral. And then you can ask which has more, the corral on the right or left, or corral number 1 or 2, or just have them point, something like that. But again, what we're really going after is understanding that the numbers come later in the counting sequence are greater than numbers that come before. 2 is less than 4. 5 is more than 1. So again, that can be memorized, but it's better to have the concepts come alive and be deepened by these types of math activities. We as educators are always being watched in a kind, loving way by our children. They are noticing all of our ways we think and we talk and we move and we react. So math is no different in that we can model. So I'm sure in a learning environment, children are counted all the time. So why not model one-to-one correspondence as we count the children as they move in and out of the classroom? When we are preparing a meal or an activity that needs containers, we need to know how many cups or containers we need. So I can instantly recognize how many I have in my hand, or I can model one-to-one correspondence, or I can say, whoa, this stack is heavier and taller, and this stack is lighter and shorter. I bet there are more in this stack than in that stack. So I'm comparing quantities. You're setting up a beautiful and engaging art activity, or maybe you're having the children help and they're squeezing the paint in the little cups. Oh gosh, how many colors do we have available today? And if the child can supertize, they'll say 3, Miss Jennifer, we have 3. Cool. Do we have the equal amount of paintbrushes to use for our 3 paints? And then again, an opportunity to supertize one-to-one correspondence, or notice that the quantity is equal. The number of paintbrushes is the same as the number of bowls of paint. So modeling is important even in math. All right, review. The whole point of the math big ideas, math concepts we talked about today is to deepen the children's understanding of number sense. And ways we can do that is one-to-one correspondence, supertizing, cardinality, and comparing quantities. These are the foundational basic math skills that will be the foundation for all math abilities to come. All right, I did say we're going to talk about ECERS because this is one of the reasons why this webinar was developed. Colorado Shines is using ECERS 3 now, and ECERS 3 has 3 new math items. And the first item is item 23, and it's materials and activities, math materials and activities. So if you're thinking, gosh, I want to subitize, I want a one-to-one, I want to know all about more about cardinality and practice all these big ideas. Here are some recommended materials that you can have in your classroom that would support all of this learning. So everyone is going to get a copy of the materials checklist, but just go ahead and take a glance at it while you're on the webinar. What we really focused on today was counting and comparing quantities. In the next webinar, we're going to focus on those measurements and comparing sizes and shapes. So again, these are just suggestions of things to have in the classroom. And if you want to score high on ECERS in the 5, 6, 7 range, you want at least 3 to 5 of each of these categories. So about 10 to 15 materials total, and they have to be accessible to the children for at least 1 hour. So again, I told you that we were today focusing on the materials that will support counting and comparing quantities. So just take a mental note and inventory. Are these things in your classroom? Are they collecting dust? Do the children gravitate toward them? Think if not, why? If so, why? Do you know how to use these materials to support the big math ideas? Or do you just use them during certain times of the day or certain days of the week? And I know you're all thinking, oh gosh, you can do math during snack time. You can do math during gross motor time. You can do math all throughout the day in all the learning environments. And yes, you're totally right. So the math and daily events, item 24 in ECERS, will address how to do math with non-math materials. And that's something that they are looking for. So item 23, math materials and activities in ECERS 3. So ECERS R used to be all about the stuff and very little about how the teachers and educators interact with the stuff. So people could score very high by having all the right materials in all the right places and all the interest centers, and that's great. But now what we're looking at, ECERS authors are looking at, is how to engage the children with the stuff, with the materials, so that they're supporting math learning. So indicator 5.2, they're looking for the teachers to actually join in the play. So if a child brings the balance out and starts working it, they want to observe in their 3-hour observation that the teacher goes to the child and says, wow, you chose to use the balance today. Let's start learning about what materials are heavier, what makes the balance rise, what's make the balance fall. 5.3, encourage children to count on fingers. So the teacher may be teaching one-to-one correspondence, and she's using, or he's using his fingers and saying 1, 2, 3. Now that's not enough. They want you to also say, Jonathan, Jose, can you show me 3 fingers and count with me? So that's what it means, encourage children to count on the fingers. A lot of math activities, 5.4, don't really, they're not naturally understood by the children how to use them. So if you have a cool new math game from Lakeshore and it has pieces and a board and directions and a timer and all this stuff, it's most likely the child's not going to know how to use it. So they want to observe that you are helping them set up a math activity or understand how to use a math material. And again, we're talking about math items here. There's going to be more information about non-math items later. Do you remember my slide with the heart and subitizing? So that's 7.2, relate math materials and activities to a theme, or if you're not a theme program, whatever the children are interested in at that time. So if they're really interested in dinosaurs or growing their beans, then you can relate a math activity to the theme or the interest. And last, 7.3, ask reasoning questions while using math materials or doing math activities. So if you're familiar with the classroom assessment scoring system, pre-K, then this would be a concept development, instructional support type of interaction. So it'd be the how questions, the why questions, prediction questions, think scientific method. So you can maybe brainstorm some of those critical thinking questions, reasoning questions, as you're doing your lesson planning. So again, math materials to support big idea math concepts. Now, there's a quote, you don't need running shoes to run a marathon, but it sure does help. You don't need all the fancy, beautiful, everything under the sun, Lakeshore Kaplan math materials to teach math concepts, but they are helpful and they are designed to help children learn big math concepts, and they're designed to be attractive and safe and interesting. All right, we have come to the giveaway. This material was provided by Ben. He's a regional manager at Lakeshore. He'll be at Rocky Mountain Early Childhood Conference in March if you're there. And he provided tweezer tongue color sorting kit. So I think Milena is going to choose a lucky winner, and then we're going to also go to Q&A.
Perfect. All right. So as today is the 4th day of the month, we are going to go with our 4th attendee who hopped in the webinar, which looks like Anna Carvajal. I might have butchered that, but we will be contacting you afterwards. So congratulations, you are our winner this time. We will be doing one of these each webinar that Jennifer attends with us. So super great perk of attending for these. Thank you so much to Lakeshore for that. So Anna, I'll be in contact with you afterwards via email to get that out to you. Thanks, Jen.
Thank you. Congratulations. So again, my name is Jennifer Nguyen Garcia. I'm with Those Wonder Years. And this was the first of the 2 math webinars. And I'm going to stop share so I can just focus on the question and answers, or the questions. Hopefully I'll have some answers that come through the chat. And I also want to thank you for your patience. In the beginning of the slideshow, my arrows just were getting a little tricky, but I'll move through that.
Things can be tricky. All good. All right, let me go through our chat here on both Zoom and Facebook and see what we've got. So earlier today, we had a question, does the revision of ECERS also apply to the FCC ERS?
Is there a FICRS 3?
Earlier at the beginning.
You know, I will have to check with Clayton on this one, but I'm pretty certain it's being developed still, and it will be published soon. But as far as I know, it's ITERS and ECERS 3 right now, and they might be still be using the R. But I'm going to write that down and make sure that I know the answer to that in the future. Thank you for asking. Yes. Does anyone on here know the answer?
Yeah, feel free to chat in here and we'll share it out if so. Doesn't look like it. Let me check our Facebook. Any other questions as well, feel free to enter those in the chat here at this time. Can we share the page mentions the steps of math? Yeah, everyone who registered today will get a copy of the recording itself, as long as my slides and Jennifer's slides. So you'll get everything as well in that. It'll probably come out within an hour once we hop off here. Yeah, so you'll get everything.
And then the resources I use, just so you know. So when I was a preschool teacher, I wasn't a math person. I've never been a math person, and I kind of wanted to be. But if you're ever in doubt, hey, I'm kind of interested in this math thing, and your life gets busy and you forget everything that I talked about today, that's fine. That's okay. Go to the resources that Milena is going to push out. So Colorado Early Learning Developmental Guidelines, research-based. It's basically a whole booklet that tells you what to teach in preschool and birth, toddler, everything. And there's a math section. And they don't word it the way I worded it, but it's the same stuff. Then if you go to Erickson Institute, they're huge math nerds and they love early childhood math, teaching, learning. They have trainings, they have activities that you can print out for free, different ideas, podcasts. They really go for it. That's where I got most of my information today.
Awesome. Flora says, I'm not a math person either. I want to include them. I hear you.
But let's say, I feel like, why did I just say that? I just said that we're not going to stereotype anymore. We're not going to not be math people. I'm a math person. I know how to count. I did a whole training on it.
Great question, guys. Anything else? looks like that is about it.
Understood. I appreciate everyone for attending. And if you're watching later, I appreciate your watching later.
And she included her email as well, and you'll get that in the slide. So if any questions come up, do feel free, more than welcome to reach out to either me and I'll connect you, or straight to Jennifer, either way.
That works.
All right. We'll wrap up a little bit early then if there's nothing else. Thank you all so much for attending. I did put the link for part 2 of this webinar is 2 weeks from today, same place, same time. So feel free to register for that one as well. And all of the other webinars for ELV are on our website. Let me pop that in here as well, so you can always stay up to date. For we've got a couple more webinars planned out as well. Feel free to check out our webinars page for any futuristic webinars as well. So thank you so much, everyone. Thank you so much to Jennifer. Appreciate it. Appreciate the connection for the Lakeshore door prizes. And I will be in touch to get that out to you. But that's it for today. Have a great Friday, everyone. Have a great weekend, and we'll see everyone next time. Have a good one.
Bye, everyone.